Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here, brand ambassador, and I am so excited to spend an hour with you today. And today we have a fabulous educator, and wait until you see what Heather has in store for you. So if you've never been here before, say hi. We are streaming on YouTube and Facebook, Crafting and Sewing Side. So I'm going to bring up Heather. Say hi, say where you're from. I cannot wait to see what you do with this project. So Heather, welcome. How are you?
Good, Angela. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. So I have to tell the audience that technically you and I are live, but we're pre-recording this only because you and I are both going to be very busy at the Houston Quilt Fest.
Absolutely. So we're just getting it ready a couple days in advance.
A couple days in advance. So we are still going to watch your comments. So be sure to say hi. Also ask your questions. Although we won't answer them live today, we have our brother social team in there. We'll be answering away, and we're so happy to see you. So Heather, I'm so excited for this project, especially because we're just a week away from what you're working on.
Right? Okay, I'm going to show you guys. It's almost Halloween, and so what we have today is I got to get them right into the camera, is our Applique heat transfer vinyl pumpkin project with a spooky Halloween text, which is all from your Luminaire. And so we're going to be creating this pumpkin. And like I said, he is an applique pumpkin. He is actually made of heat transfer vinyl, but you could definitely do this from fabric, no reason. And I turned mine into a fun Halloween pillow. You could turn yours into anything. You could put him on an apron. You could put him anywhere you want, but that's what we're doing.
I love that. I could even see the little trick-or-treat bag. This could be really cute.
Perfect. Yes, it could say trick or treat instead of happy Halloween. You could do anything.
Oh, Heather, this is great. So for those that are watching, what machines are you going to be using today?
Okay, so we are going to be using the Luminaire today. Could be any version, and we're going to pair it with the brand new models of ScanNCut. So 325 or 330D, because we are using my connection. However, I will say that to create the pumpkin in My Design Center, you can have any machine with My Design Center. So that part, you can still make the pumpkin and you can still stitch them out. And then if you want, you can consider adding on your 325 or 330D for the My Connection function. And what that will do is make you turn your design into an applique easy peasy really quick. So I'm going to show you both pieces.
That's awesome. So by the way, we've had a couple tutorials the last few days or last few weeks on My Connection, and everybody's like, wow, that is so cool. But I want everyone to know that if you don't have that new ScanNCut yet, you can still transfer a lot of these things with the USB. Not everything, but some. So we'll leave it at that.
Right. Yes, there's a lot you can do with some workarounds and whatnot. So you'll still be able to have fun.
Oh, wonderful. All right, so let's get started.
Okay, then I'm going to switch over to the Luminaire. That's where we're starting in My Design Center.
Okay, perfect. So while she's switching, be sure to ask your questions. I am very excited for this project, and I have left up right now, I'll take this down, but brothers and my Instagram, we love to see what you're working on, and there have been such great projects with the educators and ambassadors the last few months. I'd like to see what you do with this. So let's bring Heather. I think I see her at her camera. You ready for me, Heather?
Yes, ma'am. Let's do this.
All right. Your screen looks fabulous. We can see.
Okay, excellent. Let's do this. All right. So what we're going to do is start in My Design Center. And I'm a little bit to the side of my machine, so sometimes I have to give my buttons an extra push, but I think that you'll still be able to see fine. Now, like I said, our pumpkin is actually going to come from what's built into My Design Center. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the shapes. And we have this fun little oblong shape right here. There we go. Like I said, I'm to the side. I'm having a little bit more issues. I'm going to resize it. And I'm going to make him a little bit skinnier. So I'm going to go ahead and make it about 2 inches tall. And you can see up here in the top right that I'm changing the size. And I know we've had lots of My Design Center tutorials. And then I want him to be longer. So he's going to be about 2 by 6 is about right. Now, this is all going to be approximate. You don't have to do this exact. You can change the size of your pumpkin. So now I have one slice in the middle. Then I'm going to duplicate it and move it over to the side. Let me actually just use the arrow button, and I'm just going to move that over to the side, and then I'm going to push duplicate again, and then I'm going to move it a little bit to the left. So I have these three oval shapes, and they don't even have to be really lined up. This is going to be our pumpkin. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to erase the lines in the middle so that I just have my pumpkin body. Make it a little bit bigger here. And this is my erase tool. And I'm going to just go through and erase these lines. Now, this is the fun thing about this particular project is you do not need like total accuracy and being super precise. I mean, I'm just going to get in there. Let me blow it up for you a little bit. Oops, there's too big. And there you go. You can see him. I mean, I'm all about simple, easy, and not having to be super accurate. So that's my pumpkin.
And that was so simple to do. 3 ovals. Right. Move them around. Perfect pumpkin.
Hey, he does totally looks like a pumpkin, right? That's what I was thinking. Okay, so we got a pumpkin. He just needs a couple things. He needs some leaves and he needs some eyes. Now, I'm going to also say if you're doing this after Halloween, don't put the eyes and the mouth on, and he's a great fall pumpkin. So let me go to Open Shapes. And I just use this leaf. There's 3 different leaves in my design center. You know, use the one you like. It's all about your creativity. But I'm just going to size this down. I'm going to move it up to the top of the screen. And you'll see here again, just the kind of plopping it in here. There we go. I'm happy with that. And I'm going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to move it to the side. And then all I'm going to really do to it is mirror image it. So we have a mirror image option, and then just sort of get it out of the way. And you can leave it, rotate it a little. I mean, you know, there's just so much you can do. So, all right, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's add our face. Now, like I said, if you're making, you just want a fall pumpkin, then really you could just leave it like this. It doesn't have to, well, let me go back to 100%. It doesn't have to be a Halloween pumpkin. So this would be fine. Now, if we want to add a face, really quick, back to the shapes, I'm going to use the triangle for the eyes and the nose and this half circle for the mouth. So let me plop a triangle in there and size him down. So there we go. And again, I mean, I'm being really loose with numbers and sizes. So you don't have to try to get this, you know, exactly 1.5 by 1.5 inches or anything. That's probably great for an eye. I'm going to duplicate it, move it over, and move it up a little bit. Oops. Well, shoot. Sorry, everyone. I picked center. Move it on over.
You know, Heather, while you've been moving these pieces around, first of all, anyone who is fairly new to my design center, be sure if you're watching this on Facebook, share it to your page, or if you're on YouTube, share it to what you want to watch. You can go back and watch this step by step and click pause as she does this, because as she's showing you so many tools, the mirror image, the moving around image, the resizing image, all the shapes, there's so much you can do in here. So this is awesome.
Absolutely, Angela. Thanks for mentioning that, because yeah, definitely pause and rewind. I personally do that when I watch tutorials online. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this mouth, get my hand out of the way, and then move it down. And again, your mouth can be as skinny, wide, big, or small as you want. Keep trying to do this so you're not just looking at my arm. Let's make him a little skinnier. So at this point, all I've been doing is using the arrows and the size button. And now I have my pumpkin face. That's it. There's my pumpkin. And what I need to do before we move on is what I'm going to want to do is fill him in. So this is partly for my connection, and partly if you didn't have my connection and you just wanted to stitch your pumpkin out, have him be all stitches, that's how we would do what we're about to do. So I'm going to choose the body orange and the fill or paint bucket and touch my pumpkin. So now he's orange, and then I'm going to go get some green, and I'm going to make my leaves a little larger here and move my pumpkin down. choose the fill bucket again, and then fill in my leaves. Now you can see because I overlapped my leaves a little bit. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to want to make this area a little bigger so that I can fill in my leaves. So push the paint bucket and choose these areas. And now if I go back here, you can see that my leaves are all filled in. I'm going to kind of come up so you can see. The last piece, obviously, is to fill in the eyes and the nose and the mouth. So back to the paint bucket and push each of those elements. And that's our pumpkin. That's it.
That was so simple to do within just a few little click, click, click. That looks great.
He is. He's easy. He's fast. Like I said, modify him for fall. Just don't do the eyes, or do eyes, make them circle eyes or anything you want. Now, what I would recommend before we leave, and I know everyone always does, is to save him to my design center. So I pushed memory, and then I pushed the picture of the sewing machine, because if you end up with any errors from here on out, you will have him saved and we wouldn't have to rebuild him. So let's go to the next screen. And what this screen will do is it will turn all of my lines into a satin stitch. So you can see that all of the lines are satin stitch. Now, if I didn't want that, if I just wanted, for instance, to have a straight stitch around everything, then I would go to the first option up here. I would arrow to the left. There we go. And I would go to the satin stitch. I would press the link button. And now all of my satin stitch are linked. And if I choose that, I could choose a different option. I could outline my pumpkin in a blanket stitch or a double stitch or triple stitch. Let's see. Let's try just the double stitch and press OK. And then you can see it's altering the entire pattern. And now he will stitch out in just a single or double stitch around the outside. So you have a lot of options. I can now just go straight out. If you don't have my connection, you could just take this over to the embroidery side and stitch it out. And you would have an adorable pumpkin that is great just the way it is without even making any changes. But we are going to go ahead and leave him. Now, the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the width of my satin stitch. I just like my satin stitch on an applique to be a little wider. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is totally your call if you do it or if you want it this big. But I'm going to go ahead and make it about 0.140. Let's take a look at that. You should see it change.
I know, Heather, this is so awesome that a lot of people don't realize that all the capabilities you have when you're changing this design, and to be able to change that satin stitch, that is so simple. But while you're standing right there, I know that there are at least 3 or 4 questions that want to know, where did you get that stylus?
Oh, this stylus, that's a great question. This stylus that I'm using is the one that comes with the Brother Luminaire. So this one came in the box, and it's got the 2 tips, the one for the soft foam for the screen, and then the opposite end, that is for the sewing side.
We love that stylus. I knew that, but they didn't know that, and I had to point that out because that stylus is really awesome. Okay, keep rolling. Sorry for the interruption.
No, good point. Good point. I love it. Okay, so we have a pumpkin, and I'm going to go ahead and save him to memory again because he's the way I like him. As I said, if you wanted, you could be done, and we could stitch him out. Let's press set to leave my design center, and we're going to go over to the embroidery side. So he's ready to stitch, but I would like to change him over to an applique. And this is where that really exciting my connection comes in that you can pair with your new ScanNCut models. So I'm going to come up here to edit. Now, the thing about edit is when I push this patch button, I will now have 2 choices. I used to have this one only, as I know you said, Angela, you guys have been doing my connection. So you know that there's now 2 choices. I'm going to choose applique patch for selected colors. And then this is the secret ingredient that lets me make these into applique. First, you go opposite. We're going to stack our appliques. And I get this question a lot at shows where people will say, what if I want the inside here to be an applique and this? What's the secret? What do I need to do? And my connection has really let us do that. we're going to go backwards of how we created our pumpkin. I'm going to choose the eyes, not the outline, because I don't want the outline to be the applique. So I'm going to make my eyes, my nose, and my mouth an applique. Now, here was the reason why we needed to color in our pumpkin. If I had made my entire pumpkin green and green leaves, green body, green eyes, not only would it have been hard to see that, but it would have, that would have been weird, but it would have made the entire thing one applique, one piece. So I'm going to choose my eyes, press next. Now I'm going to press preview, and you should be able to see that my black is now an applique. How's that showing up on the screen, Angela? Can you see that?
That looks great. Actually, when you first clicked it, I think it's your grid, but it looks like he has a bunch of teeth now, like magic.
Oh, that's right. The grid background, it does look like that. Perfect. Okay, we have a very nice light zigzag tack down. I'm going to press next. And you can see in my design, I have now a placement stitch, a tack down, and applique for those pieces. Press OK, and we're ready to continue building our applique. So I'm going to press the patch button, and then I'm going to press applique patch for selected colors, press my pumpkin, and we're going to choose the leaves. There they are, highlighted. Press next, press preview, and next. And now the applique, and that's fine. There's an overlap. Now our leaves are part of the applique. All I have to do last, and you probably already figured this out, is press the patch key, and then press applique patch for selected colors, press my pumpkin, and you can see the last thing to choose is the orange. Press next and preview, and see how it's going to just give me a solid background for my pumpkin. Press next and okay. All right, there we go. He's done. And if I press embroidery and we go to the next screen, you can see over here on the right, if I arrow through my steps, and that might be a little hard to see on my screen, but basically it's going to take us through the placement, tack down, and finishing stitch for the entire applique. And then I would suggest saving it to your memory as well. So that is kind of how you would use My Connection to create an applique with multiple pieces. The next piece that we do have available to us is, obviously we're going to have to cut out our pieces on the ScanNCut. If I press memory and then I press the brand new icon for ScanNCut, it asks me if I want to replace any existing applique data that was already in my ScanNCut, and I will press the transfer button. So we'll press transfer, give it a moment to go over, and that's it. We're done with the luminaire at this point, other than we're ready to stitch out. Let me go back to 0. Okay, I'm going to change cameras and go to the ScanNCut so we can pull up our design.
That sounds great. So while she's changing, by the way, do you not just love that one button? Click a button and it magically goes from your luminaire to your ScanNCut. I think that's one of the coolest features this year of all times. And I see Heather's ScanNCut, so I'll bring her back up, and be sure, ask your questions. Although we're not bringing them up live on the screen today, we're going to be in the comments, and so is the Brother Social team. So, all right, Heather, you ready for me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
All right, so I'm over, as you can see, at the 330D, and all I'm going to do at this point is just retrieve that ScanNCut data that I sent over using My Connection. So I want to go to the left once to see the My Connection icon, press that. Now there's just two options, and I'm going to retrieve from the wireless that was sent by my luminaire. Give it a moment. And I find this to be so exciting when it comes up, because that's my design that I made in my design center, and it's actually on the ScanNCut.
That is so cool.
It is. It's so exciting. You could create anything and it'll show up just like this. Now, if you press the patch, you've seen us use this already. So there's a common theme. Press the patch, and our 3 pieces are here. So let's go ahead and start with our pumpkin body. Now, one thing you can't really see, do you see that I have a piece of paper here? I'm going to move that over so you can see. Half cut and mirror image. I don't want to forget.
That is a really good way to do that. I mean, I have Post-it notes all over my desk. I haven't thought about doing it on the ScanNCut.
Right? I know. Whatever it takes. So what I was about to say, and I was reminded by my Post-it note, now don't change the size because it's just right for our design, is that the pumpkin has not been reversed yet. It looks just like it would. So if I were cutting a piece of fabric and I was going to have my fabric right side up, this would be great. The pumpkin is in the exact shape I want it. But I am going to be using a heat transfer vinyl, and that will be right side down. So I'm going to be using the reverse image or mirror image feature. And now my pumpkin should come out the right way. The other thing that we'll look at is half cut. So I'm going to load my mat and we're going to cut this so you can see how it works. Now I'm cutting with the vinyl blade. And the vinyl blade is not included with the 330D, but it is a separate accessory. So if you do not have a Brother vinyl blade kit, you can absolutely get that. Or you could use your standard blacktop auto blade. That is also another option that you have.
You know, Heather, that was really a good point there, because some other people have some of the older ScanNCuts and they can still get that vinyl blade kit.
Yes.
Is amazing. Last year I cut intricate designs in vinyl and it was beautiful. So anyways, just want to point that out. If you have one of the older models, check and see if you can get that kit.
Definitely, Angela. Sorry there. I got right in front of my camera. Okay, I'm going to just move so that you can see me doing this cutting. So,
oh yeah, we can see great.
Perfect. I'm going to walk really quick in front of the camera and show you. Here is my mat. Now what I have done is I have placed my heat transfer vinyl right side down. So there's my orange for my pumpkin, and then I placed him on the mat. I'm going to kind of push him down here, and let me load him, and then so we'll get our vinyl in, load the mat. You can see my little handy note there. Give it a second. All right, so we have our heat transfer face down. I'm going to do my background scan, which of course the ScanNCut has the exclusive scanner built into it of any of the DX or ScanNCut models, which makes it so unique and special in the electronic cutting machines because you can see your background fabric on the screen. And this, of course, is no exception. So what I'll do is pull my design over my vinyl. And I know that's not a super close up for you, but that's what I did with my background scan. Press OK and cut. And then what I will do is turn my half cut on. So let me bring this a little closer so that you can see that. And I'm doing this from the side.
Oh, Heather, you are becoming quite the videographer. This is like, woo.
Yeah, I was doing good there, and then I got a little quick, and so, you know, what can I say? All right, there we go. You can see a little better. So I'm going to go ahead and press the wrench key, and then I'm going to scroll down one, and I have a half cut option, and I do have it on, and I actually increased my pressure a little bit as well. Something you can play with if you desire, but let's go ahead and do a test cut and see how that works. Now, if you're new to the ScanNCut, the reason I did a half cut is because I'm using heat transfer vinyl, or really vinyl of any kind, and you don't want to cut all the way through. It has a backing or a carrier sheet, and that needs to stay intact. So I've moved my teeny tiny little test cut to the bottom corner. Let's let that cut and make sure that I am not going to have any issues. Basically, I'm just checking to make sure that I didn't cut all the way through. That shouldn't be an issue. Give it 1 second. It's going to cut a little circle, and then I'm going to pop back out so you can see what that looks like. All right. Okay, so back to the mat. And I will pull this up. So I will have a little cut. Let me find it. There it is. Pull it out. So a weeding tool is so important.
Oh, yes. We love the weeding tools.
Right? We have to have them. This is not overly easy from my distance. All right, let me get closer. All right, so what I've done is cut a circle. And I just want to make sure that I cut all the way through. So let me pull this back so you can see my circle. How's that,
yeah.
Angela? Can you see it?
We sure can. And we can even see the little piece of vinyl sticking on your weeding tool.
On the weeder.
On the weeder.
It's my weeder. Okay, perfect. So I know I double checked that did not cut through the back side. I want to keep my plastic intact. So now I'm just ready to start. So I'm going to press the start button and let it cut. We have, like I said, those 3 pieces to cut. So we still need to do the leaves and the eyes, but we're going to do the leaves and the eyes at the same time and then let the pumpkin, just wanted to make sure there was enough room for everything.
It's so quiet.
Yes, quiet.
We're going to say too, I'm like, it's so quiet. I had a double take. Is it even working?
I know. Especially compared to older models, you just really notice. Okay. So it says, select the next part or finish. We're going to select the next part, leave that for now. And I'm just going to pull this up. And now it should be very simple to weed. You should have gotten a really nice cut so that you can get through or just sort of pull it away from the vinyl. So let me see where I am on here. Let me start to pull it away. So I have a sticky side that it will continue to sort of try to cling to the vinyl. I'm just going to get this edge up and then I should be able to peel it. Actually, this might help me if I do this.
Sometimes that stuff can be so sticky.
So sticky, right? Okay, so I will kind of peel slowly, but I think you can see. Let me get the corner. Yeah, it's particularly
great. I see that pumpkin.
So now, what's that?
We can see great.
Great. So you can see this is how easy it should be to pull away your heat transfer vinyl. Now I don't have any little little pieces in there to use my weeder for, but I mean, that's how great of a job. And now we have to emphasize that we use the auto blade. This is auto blade technology, which means that I didn't have to dial in a setting or a number. It knew how deep to cut automatically. And that's what makes the auto blade technology so amazing. And now when I press my pumpkin down, because we reverse the image, it will be, this is the correct way for the pumpkin to be facing.
Right onto your hoop. That's perfect. I know some people are thinking, oh my gosh, I hate wasting vinyl.
Me too. And I'm going to run really quick in front of the camera and put this piece back down. So basically what we have is the last 2 pieces. Now I'm going to use black glitter vinyl for my eyes. It's thicker than the other vinyl, but the auto blade doesn't mind. It can still handle it just fine. And
that's
because
awesome.
It's the best technology ever. I could not seriously live without it in an electronic cutter because I don't have to put in anything. I don't have to tell it what I'm cutting or what I'm doing. It just automatically knows. Okay, and right side down.
You're putting that down. I actually put the Brother Sews website down below because also for Brother Vinyl, you can contact your Brother dealer. You can look online, go to Brother Sews, things like that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Angela. That's perfect. So I'm going to show you the screen up close, but I'm putting the face and the leaves together on the mat. But before I show you, I'm just going to go ahead and scan in. Once again, use my background scan to be able to place both of those over the top. Just again, one of those features that is so special and yet unique to this machine, but it will make your ability to cut so much easier. Okay, so now you can see that we have those 2 shapes. I've got to reverse those. I'm going to drag the face up here and this guy here, and we did not reverse the image yet. So I'll push edit and object edit, and then of course mirror image, but I can do it at the same time. I'll just press group and group everything, say okay, object edit and mirror image. And now they are opposite what they should be, perfect for heat transfer vinyl. All right, let's go ahead and cut those out because I can still have the half cut on. So that's not an issue. I don't have to turn it back on. And actually on the screen, it tells you right there that the half cut is on. I'm not going to do a test again because I've already done it and it worked fine. Back out we go.
We can see that screen perfectly.
Great. It was a little crooked, but you could still see it.
We got it.
We're going to back here. You know, Angela, I need like about 6 different cameras and 6 different hands.
Welcome to the virtual world, right?
Right. I know. You want to get close for all the shots so everybody can see the details and it doesn't feel like they had to guess about what you were doing. I highly recommend something like a Post-it notes to remind you things that you just don't want to forget, like, oh gosh, mirror imaging.
I agree. Although, by the way, just disclaimer, brother is not an owner of Post-it notes. Technically, we're talking about a piece of paper with some tape.
There you go. That is exactly what it is. Okay, thank you. I forget about stuff like that.
I always forget that.
Let me go ahead. Actually, while it's sitting here, it's just easier. So I'm going to peel up the green, and you probably can kind of see that there's a little bit of the leaf cut there. So I'm just going to peel these away. And I really wanted you to see that, you know, this shouldn't be a horrible, difficult process to peel when you use the ScanNCut. It really should just come away as easy as that. And I'm using pieces that are bigger than I needed because I wasn't exactly sure how big our pumpkin would be, because I would not have had to even waste these little bits. I would have just cut my pieces down to the smallest I needed. But here's our leaf that will now fit here. Oops, come down. So that will now fit on our pumpkin. And last piece is our black vinyl, and peel this up here. And again, this is thicker. This was black glitter vinyl, but fun thing is it just no issues. You know, even though that auto blade had to go from really thin heat transfer vinyl to thick, no issues, no problem at all. Amazing technology, honestly. Okay.
I love that glitter. A little bit of bling goes a long way.
Me too. I felt like it was like a candle coming through, you know? That was where I was going with that. All right. I'm going to switch this up. And what we're going to do is I'm going to head back to the luminaire so that I can show you how we do this.
All right. Great. So while she's switching her camera, be sure again to ask your questions. I am very excited to see this. And also, if you forgot to do your mirror image on there, I'm sure there's some way on the embroidery machine you can mirror image your design there if you forgot. But I think she reminded you like 10 times. So you can remember.
Good point. Good point. All right, hold on, almost there. So basically what I'm going to do is show you the tack down stitch. So I'll get an up close version of the very first stitch we'll be doing. So if you haven't done applique before, then switch cameras, then this will give you the opportunity to sort of see the process. All right, I'm moving you up close, I know.
That's all right. They're used to it. Everybody takes a Dramamine before our live shows. No relation to brother either. Sorry.
Perfect. No affiliation with brother either. Absolutely. Okay. So basically what we have here is I'm going to do my first stitch. So I'm just going to press start. And this is the placement stitch for the pumpkin. And I will need to then press that heat transfer vinyl onto, I'm using like a black burlap, by the way, if you're wondering what fabric I used for that pillow.
I was actually just trying to figure out, is that a good quality cotton, denim, burlap?
Well, wait, I'm sorry, not burlap, canvas, excuse me. Canvas. It's a black canvas. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to take this out of the machine. And now at this point, I'm going to swap you over to where the iron is. And I have this on a medium setting for the iron because the heat transfer vinyl is delicate to some degree, but you do want to just follow the directions. Let me see if I can get you over it a little more.
We can.
So I'm going. What's that?
We can see that great, Heather.
Great. So now I have basically taken my pumpkin and I have set him in my lines. So I want to just match the outline to the lines, just like that. Now you could use a Teflon pressing sheet, something like that. I have, like I said, this is set at a slightly lower setting. I would not go directly over my plastic if I had this at like a scorching high, wool or cotton setting. And I'm trying to see how warm I had it because it was cooling while we were doing our other things. So basically that's it. I'm going to do this one at a time, but we have to do our tack down stitch before we get to the next piece. So let's see if that's on.
Heather, this is so awesome to see this, because for those that are kind of new to working with vinyl and sewing, or vinyl and embroidery, this is such a great way to watch how you can combine both of these.
Right. I was thinking, I was originally going to do this from fabric, and then I thought, well, we do with fabric a lot. Let's show how we can stitch with heat transfer vinyl, which is definitely an option.
So just real quick, while you have your iron on there, what heat do you have that set at?
So I have this set at medium, and on my particular iron, it doesn't have a degrees. I got a low, medium, and high. I can say that if this were at high, like cotton, this would be warping and the plastic would probably be melting to some degree. And it's just not necessary. All I'm really looking for as I'm taking this off is that I'm not getting, my vinyl is sticking. It's not, peeling up with it. And you will need to check if it's a hot peel or a cold peel, but a lot of times with this kind of vinyl, you peel it away when it's warm. And that's all there is to that piece.
Wow.
And it looks so good. I really love using heat transfer vinyl on fabric. Like I said, this wasn't a burlap, it was a canvas. So let's take it back to, yeah, thank you. I think so. Let's take it back to the luminaire and I'll do the finishing stitch and we'll do the next piece. So
thanks for showing us all the steps for this too, because quite often we'll get rolling and then you forget that maybe there's a newbie that's like, wait a minute, do each step so I can follow along. And I know that all of you watching that want to watch this over and over, be sure again to share it. If you're on Facebook, to your page, it's easier to find. And on YouTube, you can share it to want to watch later. And there you have it again.
Absolutely. I'm going to move this ahead one stitch because this was a tack down stitch and we don't need to tack it down. It's perfectly ready to go. So all I'm going to do now is the finishing stitch, that light zigzag. And then once that's done, we'll stick the leaves on in the mouth and it's really easy to finish. I mean, we're almost done. This is basically almost done.
It's so quiet.
It also is a really quiet machine. You're right. I mean, I'm used to some really clangy, loud machines when I work, but not these machines. They're just very smooth.
Right there. It should just be blaring, but that's why we love our luminaire.
That is so true. It is, yes, such a professional finish. Okay, that's done. I'm going to go ahead and remove it so you can see what those stitches look like. Now, I could have chosen a satin stitch, but I just chose the light zigzag, which is actually as nice a finishing stitch as any that I've seen. So there is our pumpkin. Let me kind of show you the stitches up close. I think that looks great. Okay, heading.
Wow. You can see that so well. I love that.
Isn't that just awesome? All right, let's put our leaves on because the leaves are the next step. And again, this is not going to be any different. Oh, wait, sorry. I did skip something, didn't I, Angela? I don't know where to put my leaves. So let me point that out.
I was thinking, boy, that placement stitch is awfully invisible.
Let me show you guys exactly where I made my mistake. I don't know where to put my leaves. I was so focused on showing you the stitch, but where would I iron them down? And that's what I need to do next. So I'm going to put that in and slide that in. Now I'm going to change the thread really quick. So bear with me while I just put some green on. Now, of course.
So Heather, do you recommend for the placement stitch to use whatever color vinyl or fabric you're going to be using so you can't see it, or does it really matter?
You know, that's a good question. And I typically have found that it's nice if you can match it because in case any few little threads show through, then you won't have it be an issue if it matched. Okay, here goes the placement stitch, and it'll be in green to match our leaves. There's the left. I just love this pumpkin. I totally got to thinking this morning how I could make it a fall pumpkin without the eyes and stuff. And I thought, okay, now I need fall stuff.
And it's good timing because I don't know about you, but the leaves are falling and the weather went from summer to fall in 3 seconds. Although today I was wondering if we're going to get snow.
Oh my gosh, yes, well, you are definitely. And it did. I mean, I'm in sweatshirts myself. I totally know what you mean. All right. Now we have a placement stitch. There we go.
I hold that there for a second. For those that are totally new to applique and they're like, what is a placement stitch? That is a perfect example of what a placement stitch is. So now she knows exactly where to put her vinyl.
Exactly. Otherwise, it would have been a complete guess as to where to iron that on. But this takes all the guesswork out. Let me switch to the iron and put that. And I'm going to try to, because I don't need this. Oops, backwards, upside down. Okay, let me come in here a little bit more. Well, there we go. Okay, so when I have this going down, now one of the things I want to try to do is avoid, well, no, that's actually going to be fine. I'm going to go ahead and just put this, I'm trying to tilt it and look at the camera. Okay, hold on. Go this way, and I'm going to place my leaves directly over that and then iron. So what I don't want to do, and this is a big deal, I don't want my iron to touch the orange in any place where there isn't plastic. So if I put my iron straight down on here and I touched it down here, this would be melted. So what you can do is you can either just be careful that you only hit the top, or you could use something like a Teflon pressing sheet and do it over the entire design. Let me back up. So that you would not have to worry that you might melt it. So let's give that a shot. So I'm just ironing, I'm focusing on the leaf, but now it's okay if I get down here, I wouldn't actually melt the pumpkin with this on top of it. Let's see how warm
That's a really good tip. And also, I love how you can fit that iron right inside that hoop. I mean, so you don't have to take everything out, re-hoop it. It's perfect.
Oh. Yes, that is a nice bonus of having, I mean, I have a nice iron. I think a lot of us do that we like to use for pressing, but when we're doing applique, it's nice if we have a slightly smaller one not that this isn't a nice iron, it's all good, but something slightly smaller that would fit in the hoop.
Sure makes it convenient.
It sure does. Okay, let's see where we are here. Peel this back. Okay, so can you see that? Let me peel back the plastic. Good to go. And that is so, so cute. All right. I'm kind of bragging on myself there, huh? But I just love it. I love it. Okay. Heading back to the Luminaire. Now, when I said before that I skipped the tack down, for people who are new to applique, the tack down goes exactly over the placement stitch. And the reason for it is technically, if you just had a piece of fabric down here, you needed to trim away the excess. But we don't need to trim away the excess. We have it all perfectly cut on the ScanNCut. So I'm moving my stitches ahead one step, and I'm just going to go directly to the finishing stitch. So let me head over there. And I'm just going to slide that in. And I have green in still, so I'm good to go on my color. All right, let's start that finishing stitch. Now this will be really quick because it's just those leaves.
It's so quiet. Again, so I would love to hear in the comments of, are you going to try this? And where are you going to put this? Because I know you did it on a pillow. We talked about trick or treat bag, but this is such a great fall theme. I could see this as a little table decoration, anything like that. Heather, this has so many different ideas for it.
I think it has a lot of potential too. I'm thinking the same thing. I think you could put your name across the bottom and have it as like a door banner, hanging on the front door, welcome fall, or your name. Okay, that was super quick one.
Stitches look beautiful.
let's pull it out and look at it up close. I think so too. Now,
Wow.
remember that these stitches are because of my connection. So this was part of the new patch for selected colors, and it let me choose this light zigzag. I could have chosen a satin stitch, but all right, let's stick that there. Really quickly, we're going to finish this up with our last set of stitches, and that is our face. So I'm going to step to the side and rethread. So I'm going to go ahead and, like Angela was saying, I'm going to match all of my stitches to my applique color, but you sure don't have to. I mean, you could mix this up and, you know, use a variegated thread for all of this.
Oh, that would look good.
Wouldn't that look nice? I think so. I feel like you said, there's a lot of options. Oops,
Those stitches look so good. They actually, as I'm, you know, even from here, we can see them so well. They look like hand stitches. Like you just did this whole thing by hand.
Right. I think so. Yes. Very much like a sort of a blanket stitch or really pretty finishing stitch. Shoot. Sorry. I stepped on that.
You just wanted to make sure that we were all paying attention. And we are.
Boy, yeah, you got like a really big hello. All right. So I'm going to be prepping my face here, the heat transfer vinyl. So we're ready to go. I love that it was just all shapes. So, you know, it kind of goes to show, and you have so many great shows on My Design Center with amazing educator ideas that are taken from there. But there's so much you can do just with My Design Center.
I have to tell you, I watch all these shows because I'm
watching. You do.
I learn something new every single time. It might just be a new tool. It might be a new idea, like putting those ovals together for a pumpkin. There's so many cool things to do. So by the way, if you're new to the Brother Sews or Brother Crafting channel, this is At Your Side Virtually. We are live twice a week, and you can go back and binge watch hundreds of videos, hundreds.
Absolutely. And oh my gosh, you're right. I learn from them all the time. Okay, I'm taking my placement stitch out. I'm going to forward pass my tack down because I know we won't need it. And then I'm going to show you what the placement stitch looks like. And then I'm going to switch over to the ironing surface. I notice I have a little thread here and I don't want it to get caught up in the ironing. So there we go. Gone. And I'm going to match up my face to the placement stitch. And then I'm going to do exactly what we did before. Now, again, I don't want to accidentally iron over my leaves, or that's really the only place I have left. So I'm going to throw down a pressing sheet and just go ahead and medium setting again. And I think they would say not to slide it like I am. It's more of a hard press and then a hard press. You know, it's like that.
That's definitely what they would say.
Yes. Can I say do as I say, not as I do, or something? Or we all get a little bit lax sometimes in what we know and what we do.
You definitely can. So, by the way, is that a wool pressing mat that you have underneath of there? Just a piece of wool?
It is. It is a wool pressing mat. That is correct. So that I had something it's very portable. It does a great job absorbing moisture, right?
Yeah, and I'm pointing that out because somebody might be thinking, are you pressing right on your cutting mat? No, she's not.
Good point. Totally, definitely not. Let's see how that is. I will point out that if I were doing this in all real life, I would probably spend a little bit more time adhering this. But for the sake of our camera's work, this is enough. And you can see that it has left an awesome,
my goodness, I love that.
Me too. Look at that glitter. It's like diamonds to me.
That's gorgeous.
Okay, we're sticking him back on the machine for our final stitch out.
So Heather, do you have to, I mean, the vinyl sticks pretty well. Do you have to stitch it on, or could you just press it?
You could just press it. That would be fine.
Although I think the stitches really make it look rich and a little bit more put together. But for those that are like, you know what, I want to finish this really quickly. There you go. You just press
Absolutely. It. It's perfectly fine to not stitch it out. I mean, it's heat transfer vinyl. We do it all the time on our t-shirts and whatnot without any stitches. So yes, it would just be more if you wanted the stitches look. That's all. Good question.
So I have a question for all of you watching. did you ever think, or have you tried stitching on vinyl? I mean, that's a really good question, because I think a lot of times we have embroidery or vinyl, not the same. So I would just love to hear your comments if you've done it before, 1. 2, if you haven't, are you going to now? Because this looks so cool.
Good question, right? I think that's, I mean, I don't necessarily think at all of using vinyl when I do applique. Okay, so Angela, we have one last decision to make, and it really is a decision. It does not have to be done. In the pumpkin that I made, I called it good after I did all my matching finishing stitches. But if you remember back to my design center, the entire design is finished with a satin stitch to go over everything. And it adds like the leaf stems, and it adds, so we really could go either way. If you want, leave it finished now, or I can start doing the zigzag or the satin stitch and you'll see what that adds too.
Why don't we start, when you're finished, why don't we start it so everyone can see what it starts to look at like, and we don't have to do the whole thing, but at least they can kind of get an idea of, because this right here looks totally fine. I would take that and use that all day long. So this is 1, or if you really want to up your game, oh, look at that. That just looks amazing. Absolutely love it.
Me too. And it's finished. I mean, like I said, this is my pumpkin. I finished him here, and it didn't bother me that I didn't have any stems or anything. To me, it gave it kind of like an abstract look.
Right.
So totally up to you, but let's put him under there, and we'll start out that satin stitch so that you could see, if you wanted, so not in the right place, you could finish him up that way as well. All right.
Now, are you going to use a solid color for this, or what are you going to use for this?
I'm actually going to try the black. I don't know if that's the best choice. I mean, right? Couldn't you?
Sounds good to me, though.
Could you yellow? Again, the variegated might look really cool. I'm going to get a little closer slowly. So it's that professional kind of finished satin stitch that it's giving. And actually, because of the order it did it, we could stop it after it did the leaves if we just liked those. That's the fun thing. We can stop this at any point we want.
That really looks good, Heather.
I'm liking it too. Now, we didn't add the Happy Halloween, but I will say that was just a built-in font that I spelled out. Could say trick or treat. It could say welcome fall. You don't have to have anything. I mean, totally up to you.
Boy, those leaves, adding that satin stitch in the middle really changes the whole look. It's really cool.
Does. And I think it's going to do the stem now. Lucky coincidence. I don't know, but let's see what we think. Again, we won't have to do the whole thing, but we'll just take a look here and see what we think.
Oh, yeah, there goes the stem.
Yeah, and it's going to do the leaf outline. I like it. I'm liking it. And let's let it do part of this leaf, and we'll take a look.
This really looks good, and we can see it so well.
Good. That's always the trick, like we said earlier with this, doing it virtual. We're trying to get it so you can see.
Oh, yeah, that really, and you know, it's black on black. So from here, you really can't see it real well, but I'll tell you what, it really just adds a little bit of texture.
Right? I was wondering how that would look, because you're right, it is black on black, and that wasn't going to give it maybe as much pop, but texture might be the good way to work it. Oh, here, let me stop it and we'll take a look at what it's done. See what we think.
Hey, Heather, just a quick question for you. What kind of embroidery thread are you using?
Good question. So I am using Brother brand embroidery thread.
Okay, wonderful.
Which I love. So let me get close on the...
Oh, yes. Boy, what a difference that makes. I love it.
Yeah, and remember, I also increase the width of my satin stitch in my design center. So if you like a thinner or more narrow one, you certainly don't have to go this big.
Right.
But I am
now
not
they
sure.
can definitely see the difference, how it's covering up part of those other stitches if you wanted that. I love how I actually like it with just the two pieces down the center and leaving that kind of cool zigzag stitch.
Yeah, this is a great stitch. I have to give Brother a lot of credit for this My Connection stitch. Like I said, it was the light zigzag, and I think it's very pretty, and it does a nice job covering, and it gives it almost a decorative look.
Boy, that's beautiful. What a fun project. I love
Okay,
this.
Angela. Yeah, we kind of accomplished it, I think. What do you think?
I think definitely yes. I think definitely yes. And I have a feeling there's a lot of people watching that are going to be trying this.
I'm going to come back to you. Okay. I hope so. I hope that they do and that we can maybe see what it looks like. Oh, I missed my lights. Hold on.
There you are.
You can actually see me in the dark.
Heather, that was such a fun project. And you know, what I love about it is you gave enough tips in my design center that somebody that's doing this can say, hey, you know what? I might change it up a little bit. Maybe I'll do satin stitches. Maybe I'm just going to do embroidery. You made it so fun, but so fast. Like this has been 1 hour, start to finish, and you are finished. Except you haven't made it.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can finish it in whatever you'd like. But yeah, the actual project itself is not a time-consuming one, and it's really creative and fun.
This is amazing. So could you just hold that up one more time, the finished product?
Yes.
Do you have it around
Do you want to see the pillow or the, which one?
Yeah, show us the pillow.
Okay.
Of course, it's thrown in the corner.
It's behind me. Yeah, it totally got thrown down. So I just did a little orange piping on the canvas. And then this, like I said, was a built-in font. And this is the finishing stitches that I just showed you. I just didn't add the satin stitch. So,
I love that. So cute. So cute. So be sure, if you're watching this, again, be sure to ask your questions. Brother Social Team will be in there answering. Heather and I are going to be busy at the Houston Quilt Fest, but this is a great project. I wish I had time to make this before I was leaving.
Angela, can I throw it through for you?
Thank you so much. And thank all of you for watching. Be sure to ask your questions and share if you do this project. I have the Instagram above. You have the Brother Sews website below. And we're looking forward. Heather, this is really cool. I just love it.
Thanks, Angela. Thanks so much for having me. It was so fun. I appreciate it. And thank you everyone for watching.
So fun. So that's the schedule for the week. We hope to see some of you in Houston at the Quilt Fest. Otherwise, I will see you next Tuesday at your side virtually here on Brother Sews. All right. Well, have a wonderful day, Heather. And thank you again.
Thanks, Angela. See you next time.
Bye.